The job I went to was off from the start. I don't know where to begin, but I'm gonna put this in the best I can of words. It all started around late September, around 2017, and I worked at this incorporation. It was kind of like Amazon or eBay, where you would essentially put something on there and we would package it up and sell it. However, it was more or less not very popular. It was kind of unpopular, as a matter of fact, but the wages were decent, which made me take the job. Now, I'm not one to really get into the details as much of the story, but it would be pretty important, so I'm going to get into it. Okay, so I would essentially work around nights. This was, well, probably not the best time to work at places, but still, it was a pretty good salary nonetheless. So I just dealt with it and went on with my job. With doing nights, I would only work with about 10 other people, not very many actually, but as I said, I didn't think too much of that. My main job at this particular night was to mainly just check all the orders and see if they were all good, and then I would have to go and check on the actual packages and that. Now, the storage room, I want to start off by saying it wasn't very big. It was actually kind of a cramped room that no one really went in, and even the few people that did went in made made up stories about it, saying that someone died in there and maybe there's still, some evidence of a spooky thing happening there, but no one really knew for sure what the whole thing was about. Unfortunately for me, that was the night where I had to go into that dark and spooky room. Now, I should probably mention that it was a cold September night, so with it already being pretty cold, you could probably imagine how cold this room was going to be, with no form of insulation to keep the room warm. I then made my way over there in the dark hallway, which was lifeless as ever, when I eventually made my way to the storage room. Now, when I was first checking all the stuff in the storage room, a couple of things caught my eye, but nothing really out of the ordinary, just regular packaging and all that stuff. However, there was something that did kind of catch my eye a little bit. It was in the corner of the room, tucked away almost. It was hard to see with the minimal light that was even in the room in the first place, but I could roughly see something poking out, like a sort of white thing. It was pointed in a way that it kind of looked a bit like a knife, but it was slimmer than that, and it was curved up to a point where it could look like some kind of bone, but I don't know where it could be from. I picked it up and realised it was some kind of cable. I figured that it must have fell out, so I reached to put it back in one of the boxes. Now, it was curved in such a way where it would point, so I had to be careful not to obviously prick myself on the finger, but I eventually got it back in the package where it belongs. And that's when something that unsettled me happened. One of the boxes immediately fell over, scattering all the stuff everywhere, and as you can imagine, I immediately turned my head towards it. Not so much in fright, but in more or less curiosity. I went to pick it up and put all the stuff back in there, and this is what got me. With the minimal light that was even in the hallway, I just peered my head out just to see that if anything could have done it, maybe like a draft of wind or some kind of an open window in the hallway. And I saw something even blacker than the darkness itself run through the hallway. I'm talking full speed run, not some kind of jog. As you can imagine, that scared the hell out of me. Now, I wanted to say that I wanted to confront this thing, but I didn't. I just completely legged it to the elevator, just hoping to get to the main floor and get out of here. Now, unfortunately, today was just not my day, and the elevator was not working. As you can imagine, that kind of upset me. So, I had to take the only route possible, the stairs. Now, the stairs were not exactly my best friend for many reasons. but it was the only thing I could do. So, I booted it down the stairs, rushing to get out there. I eventually made it, obviously with my fair share of spooks along the way, but nonetheless, I made it. I went up to the counter and said that I wanted to sign out and that my work here was done. The person at the counter gave me a weird look and said, "You look like you've had a shock, you okay there?" I jokingly replied saying, "Yeah, fine." And that's when I did kind of spit out a bit of a question, which I wasn't intending to finish, but I was urged to complete the sentence by this worker. I then said the full question, which was, "Yeah, well, you see, is there someone in this building that's unauthorized? Because I remember someone running through the darkness, and it kind of gave me a bit of a spook." That's when I got a horrific look on the worker's face, and he told me to lean in closer because he wanted to tell me something. I listened in, and this is where I got a quite horrifying story. Apparently, this place before used to be some kind of old mill. Nothing important, just a regular kind of industrial mill, and some person didn't exactly make it out alive. One night, they were trying to make some kind of products. No one knows what it was, of course, but nonetheless, they were trying to do that, and some guy got caught in one of the machines being ripped apart. Pretty gruesome death. The blood splattered all the hallways. Now, the thing is, every time you'd walk around the hallways as well, I may have forgot to mention this detail, but whenever it was, say, thundering and the lights were off in that hallway, you could actually see a red tint on the walls.